Hello.
What's up, Jake?
What's up, Josh?
How was your trip back home?
It was smooth. Yeah. Long, obviously, but that was to be expected. But it was smooth. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's what you want in a trip back home. Very uneventful.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but your week here in San Diego is very eventful, and wanted to check in and just kind of recap your jujitsu trip out to San Diego.
Yeah. It was constant. A lot of go go go, which was awesome. Wouldn't have had it any other way. And I guess first things first, let's just address this band-aid on my forehead.
Dima and his knife.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a guy with a knife and his name was Dima. No, I had a pimple on my forehead. I got head butted in my forehead and then it kind of like swelled up a bit. So then I popped the pimple and it was kind of like an open wound. And then I put some Neosporin on it and then put a Band-Aid on it. And I completely forgot it was on there until I hopped on this call with you. And now we're just rolling with it. So
There we go.
that's the situation.
Nice. All the now that I'm going to be making more Instagram reels and stuff, I got to just make a bunch of them from this episode.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But cool. Yeah, so you were here last week. You got here basically exactly a week ago. Picked you up at the airport and then we chilled for a bit and then first stop went to 10th Planet South Bay for your first time going to PJ's class, doing kind of like the CLA class. It was a 90-minute class. And what were your yeah, I guess what were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, super nice of PJ to open up his doors to us and let us come there to train. And it was my first time actually like doing a proper CLA class. Like I've been teaching in that format for a while, so it was very nice for me to experience it. Um, and I guess like my initial impressions were like sometimes it was hard for me to like stay on task and like focus, and then like, when I would do something that I liked, I would try and think about, like, what I did, and then we were, like, already starting the next one, so there wasn't a lot of, like, process time. But I was also, like, coming off of, like, a red-eye flight with no sleep, so, um, I don't know. It could have been just, like, that for the, um like, mental side of things. Like, I felt myself, like, drifting more than I should have been and felt it, like, kinda hard to stay, on task as much as I would like, but, yeah, that was kind of just, like, my initial thoughts of that class, and obviously, it was fun to roll with you. It was only our 2nd time rolling with each other, so, um, yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And actually, it was funny because Mike and I went out with Jake, and then we basically ended up just Shark Tanking Jake in all
Yeah.
the stand-up games, which was pretty funny. Like, I would go with Jake, and then switch off. Mike would go with Jake. I would rest, and then we just keep rotating that in until Mike ended up partnering with someone else. But
Yeah, luckily, we switched to leg locks after that because I was pretty tired.
I did think the theme was really cool, and it was super cool for PJ just to like give you a shout out in the middle of class. Like he's like, we've got the guy from Lesson Press more involved here, and this concept from one of his videos I wanted to teach in the class, and he taught this idea of like initiating the roll, and then we did that from front
Cross
headlock.
off. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, cross ashi, and also from turtle,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool. So he would have us start in the front headlock position or cross ashi or attacking turtle, and the attacker would initiate the roll, and the defender would let them roll. And as soon as like the roll's initiating or completing, then it would go live from there. We just repeat that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that theme threaded across and it to be inspired from one of your videos too.
Yeah, this was, very cool. I was trying to remember what I talked about in the video, but yeah, this was I like the classes where there's, like, one theme explored from various positions. It's a very good way of structuring a class, I think, and PJ is obviously a really good instructor.
Yeah, and then when he was doing the shout out, I just looked over at you and you're like, "No, don't shout me out. No one pay attention to me."
Very comfortable. But he needed to give everyone a break because everyone was pretty tired after all that stand up, so
Yeah.
it was nice of him to kill time by giving me a shout out.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, that was first day, and then yeah, anything else about that class before we jump into the next day, which was super packed?
Yeah, it feels so long ago, huh, that class. No, I was happy, to, like, get the blood moving and get training, so I'm glad we did, like, the CLA type class, and I'm glad our first class was with PJ, teaching, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy that that was our first, like, training session, you know?
Yeah. I will say the first time you put a collar tie on me, I was like, damn, Jake's stronger than I remember. I was like, oh man, these collar ties are heavy. Like there was a lot of force coming down. It wasn't hard in terms of like it being hit, but once you had the collar tie on there, I was like, it seemed really hard to get it off. And so that was just like my first impression rolling with you after. Yeah, I think we rolled like maybe once when maybe twice before. So I think this might have been the third time ever
Mm.
in
Yeah.
3 years, which is crazy.
Yeah. It's
Is it
first time rolling with blue belt, Josh. So yeah, you've improved quite a bit. So it was nice to feel.
Thank you, thank you. Still gotta hit the gym though, a little more. But, cool, so yeah, next day, woke up, let's see, we went back to South Bay at 11 o'clock. Oh, this was, like, kinda like the open
Pro
mat slash
session.
pro
Yeah.
training session. Yeah, what were your thoughts there?
It was good. This time, like my first role was with PJ. It was kind of like a warm up role for both of us. And PJ has like a guy filming content for him, so he got it on film. So actually later this week, me and PJ are gonna hop on a Zoom call hopefully, and I'll be able to ask him questions, and hopefully we'll release a video on that. So um, that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, it was really fun. Like I said, this is kind of like my only real training for the year, you know. So it's nice to just go in and train, you know. So yeah, obviously there's like a huge jump in skill set from like what I'm used to like 80cc like competitors, you know. So it was fun to get to like feel what good people feel like, and they were all super nice, you know. Like PJ's a lot of like catch and release type stuff, and just keep the round moving. So yeah, I think there was a lot of good takeaways from that, and like I said, PJ and I'll probably dive deeper into that, like into the specifics of it. But um, yeah, how'd that go for you at the pro session?
Man, as soon as I walked in and found out it was like pro session slash open mat, I was like, okay, I would definitely not be here if I wasn't Jake's Uber driver. So I was like, okay, I'm probably just gonna roll with Jake and Mike and Chris, like the people I knew. And I was just in my head, I was just like imposter syndrome, like, oh man, I'm just gonna waste everybody's time here. Maybe I could just sit on the side and stretch. Like, please don't look at me. And then this guy, three-stripe black belt dude walks over, "Hey, you wanna roll?" "Oh, shit. Okay, let's do it." And then I have this bad habit, I think we were talking about this, of, like, a lot of times the first time you roll with someone or I'll speak for myself, first time I roll with someone, I'm, like, very defensive, pretty chill, just kinda wanna gauge what they're doing. I don't try very hard. I'm kinda like plus I have my neck thing, so I'm like, oh, kinda just playing self-preservation style. And that's basically what I did against this guy. I basically just tried to I went full supine guard, like, just try to retain, and I would just get Toriando, I would turtle, he would take my back, rear naked choke. It happened like four times, I think. And then after the round was over, I was like, "Man, I just wasted that guy's time, but at least he knows now he'll never have to pick me again. If he ever sees me, we're all good." Um, and kinda same thing with the class the night before. A lot of times, first guys I'm rolling with, if I'm rolling with them for the first time, I kinda just play that, like, defensive, pretty chill game. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that too, showing up to a new environment and just having open sparring.
Yeah, it didn't happen too much in the pro session, like, everyone was very good and, like, smashed me quite a bit. But the first night, I remember we did, like, open rounds after, and I felt, like, pretty good against a couple guys that I rolled with. Um, and it's kind of, like, along those same lines where you, like, pass the guard, you're in, like, side control, and you're, like, attacking from out, and, like, it's been, like, 3 minutes of, like, you know, the 5-minute round or whatever, and you're like, "Man, I kinda feel like a bully right now," like, I'll just, like, get off kind of, and then I'll play bottom for a little bit, you know? Um, so yeah, like I said, it doesn't happen against like people who are much better than me. It's more of just like survive and try and just get a little bit of offense going, maybe, but most likely not. But yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Like, I don't like the idea of just like going and holding someone in mount or like taking their back over and over again if you're like just meeting them for the first time. So, yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. And I asked Chris for some advice after. I was like, "Dude, what do you do in this situation when someone's just so much better than you? Like,
Mm.
and feel like I'm gonna waste their time." And the advice he told me was just keep moving so they can keep moving and they can, they'll probably realize like the skill discrepancy and maybe it gives them the agency to like work on things they want to work on versus what I did, which is just shell up, like
Right.
with my back taken, just like delaying everything and waiting for it to get submitted.
Right.
So,
But it sounds like your strategy was to just give this guy like the worst possible role so he would never ask again. So this is another way to go about it.
unconsciously, this is what happened. This is exactly what happened.
But this
Um,
day, the pro day was also where like the word on the street was Josh is impossible to arm triangle. So I tried to arm triangle you
oh
and
yes.
you checked off a box as your first time going to sleep.
Yes, we should title it with this. But yeah, yeah, Mike was like, "Dude, you should try to arm triangle Josh. He has a pencil neck. Like, it's impossible to arm triangle him." And then Jake set it up. And normally when we play these games, we set up a little bit farther back. But as Jake's was setting up, I was like, "Oh shit, this mechanic is like really good." And then I remember feeling you not even really squeeze, just kind of slowly put it on a little bit. And then I kind of last ditch effort wanted to make some space. And I think I said, "Oh, I think I'm about to." Then I just start gurgling or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you like I tried to do it one-handed. Like I always try and do my arm triangles one-handed when I'm practicing them for whatever reason. But yeah, like I had my one hand in and was just kind of like laying there in mount. And then you were trying to get your hand in like defensively and there was some like pressure. And then you said like I think you were gonna say like I think I would tap to this because you said I think I would, and then like the intensity behind your arm trying to get in and your sentence just like abruptly stopping. I was like, oh, I think like something happened, and then I let go, and then you were just like out, and you had like a little like snot coming out of your nose. But you weren't out for long. You were out for maybe like 2, 3 seconds tops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm glad you didn't hold on much longer. But yeah, I remember waking up and I saw you, Chris and Mike just looking at me, and it's just that total confusion of where am I? Why are you guys looking at me? And then I look around the class like, what's going on? Oh, wait, was I out? And then all the how long was I out? Blah blah. Blah.
You were well
But
rested though. You had tons of energy for the podcast after the class.
you kind of feel euphoric after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chris was asking me like, "Dude, how did it feel first time going out?" And I was like, "Dude, it felt awesome." But yes, we were lucky enough to get to film a podcast with Dima and PJ right after that class, and we'll be publishing that episode the week after this comes out, so people can look forward to that. That was super fun.
Mhm.
Too bad we had one mic that we had to pass back and forth, and I also do kind of take over the conversation a lot of times, but I did feel bad of like not passing it enough with
No,
you.
you're
But
fine. I feel like it's good. Like we don't talk over each other or whatever too. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And you ask great questions, so I'm
Thanks.
completely fine with it.
Thank you. It was cool. It was super fun to be. It felt kind of surreal a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, we're like here with both
Just
of them.
sitting on the couch having a conversation. Yeah,
Yeah, which is
that was
cool.
cool. Yeah, it's cool to see them like navigating. Like Dima's opening up his school. Joseph's going to be doing his thing, and Owen Jones is opening up his school. So I think they're all trying to figure out how to do it. And PJ is someone who has some experience in that field. So um, yeah, it was cool to see like that whole dynamic and them kind of working through how they're approaching their schools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super cool. And then after the podcast, we rushed over to do a session with Eric Uresk over at Victory, which he was doing kind of like a little side, like private training he does with a group of guys. And yeah, what'd you think of that class? Or I
I'm
guess maybe
glad
you
it
could
was.
share,
Sorry.
if you can share what we did in that class, and then what your thoughts were on it.
I'm glad it was, pretty low key and not very structured because we were a little late after that podcast. Um, but, yeah, it was good. I mean, Eric's super tough. So we did some, like, outside passing type stuff and basically, like, how to deal with a lasso. Um, and then we did some, like, low intensity, um, rounds. And, yeah, Eric's low intensity is, you know, a lot more intense than my low intensity. But yeah, he's super tough. So I'm glad I got to roll with him and, feel his jujitsu. He's solid. Sure, for sure. He's good.
Yeah. super
Yeah.
fun, and yeah, we were so beat probably after, like, 2 days of back-to-back evening and next morning. So after that, we went to Mike's house, who, man, so nice. He had the sauna and the cold plunge for us to hop into.
Yeah, a recovery session there.
Yeah, did a couple rounds of that, and then we went over to Atos.
Yeah, we went over there. Atos is weird. I guess they start on the 15. So they started class at 6:15 instead of 6:30. We were under the impression it was 6:30. But a buddy of ours, Chris, was getting his black belt. So we were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get there for that." And we were late and we missed it. So yeah.
Yeah, and then we watched the rest of the class, and then, I think I don't know who it was who was pointed out like, "Oh, like, Jake's here, Andre should talk to her," whatever. We ended up started talking to Andre, Galval, and he was super nice.
Yeah. It was awesome. Which we got to reach out to him to get him on the podcast still.
Oh, yes.
Um but yeah, that'll be awesome to talk to him more and kind of like hear his stories because I'm sure he's got tons of them. But yeah, it was like he talked to us for like a half hour and just like super energetic. Just got back from his Italy trip and yeah, we were talking to his wife after, and she was like, "Yeah, Andre had his coffee, so he's very energetic right now." Yeah, he was so nice. It was yeah, it was. I wasn't sure what to expect going to Atos. Seems like a very intense training room, and he was. I mean, he couldn't have been a nicer person. So, yeah, I'm glad we got to meet him.
Yeah, super personable, so charismatic. It just reminded me of I remember saying to Mike or something, I was like, "Man, he could be like a pastor of a church or something." It just seemed like such a it just yeah, he has this vibe, like friendly, family, like get along with everyone kind of vibe. And I can see why a lot of people follow him and like want to be around him and be at a place like that with that kind of positive, warm energy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with so many schools in San Diego, it's like super competitive, and you can totally see why he's as successful as he is. It seemed like just a great training room, and he showed a technique and then they had multiple TVs and then he showed the technique happening in competition, which is just I was very happy to see that because that's what basically I'm trying to work on to make it easier for more schools to do something like this. So, yeah, I was very happy, to see like how he ran his class and everything. It just kind of was validating that, we're building something that could potentially be useful for a lot of schools.
Yeah, such a good point. I had never seen anyone do that. So it's cool to see like one of the best competition schools in the nation. He's showing footage of a sequence, the guy's reaction, how they reacted to that and took advantage of it. And everybody's kind of working these moves. And then they did a little bit of like positional spar from that as well, kind of CLA-ish. A lot of drilling as well, but it was all kind of mixed up in there. And then they did a lot of rounds, right? Wasn't it like 8 3-minute rounds or something like that at the end from that position or so? I forget exactly, but
Yeah, this is when Andre was talking to us, so it was kinda hard to, like, pay attention, was during that, but, um, yeah, it seemed like with Andre and with PJ as well, it was a lot of, like, you start in a position, you initiate some sort of movement, and then the positional round or game or whatever starts after that movement is done. Um, so yeah, I kinda like this. It's kind of like a hybrid approach between, like, drilling a move and then, like, you know, like bringing in the resistance to complete the move. Like you get to initiate it, but there's going to be some resistance to complete it, and that's basically what's emphasized during the positional sparring or game.
yeah, I remember I think Andres, and PJ have called it like an easy in, hard out. I don't know if
Yeah.
maybe that'll mean more to coaches out there or people familiar with the space, but I think PJ was saying in wrestling they do a lot of it where it's like
Mhm.
the first part is like, okay, you can pick up the single, and as soon as the foot's off the ground, then we go live or whatever.
Right.
Like there's an easy in part or a drill part and then a live part all like glued together or something.
Right.
But
I've also heard this referred to as like landmarking, where you like landmark some sort of like position that you want to get to, and then you go from there. So your like students get some sort of checkpoint that they're used to, and then you go. But I like the easy in, hard out terminology. I think this makes a lot of sense. More intuitive.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So then we wrapped up that class. We ate Korean barbecue, went home, went straight to sleep, got up and went over to private session with
Mm.
Andy. I forget how to say his last name.
Murasaki.
Murasaki. Andy Murasaki with Mike the next morning at 8:30 a.m. at Otto. So headed back there.
Yeah, this was I enjoyed this. This was actually my first private lesson that I've ever been a part of. Um, and it was a group private lesson, so I don't know, like, how that would differ. I didn't really come prepared with like anything specific to like work on, and Andy's more of a gi guy than a no gi guy, and this was a no gi private lesson. But you could tell like Andy's very knowledgeable about jujitsu, does his research, um, obviously like super in shape and like built like brick. Um, yeah, like I think my main takeaways from this were like the like keymaster type stuff, like De La Hiva keymaster K guard type game tends to be like very utilized in the gi. And as the gi people transition over to no gi, it's starting to become more popular in no gi. And yeah, basically, I kind of asked him like what his favorite guards to play were, and this was the game he outlined, which is similar to like the Levi's and the Lucas Kennards and like the people who are more established in the gi and making the transition to no gi. So, um, yeah, I'm excited to, see more film and get to study more like live sequences of this type of game being played as these types of athletes transition over to no gi.
And it was really timely because you were watching Lucas Kennard's instructional on the way here,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And so, yeah, shout out Lucas Kennard. And you were
Yeah.
sharing some of those ideas with me. But man, that even just that low leg or keymaster movement has like felt amazing for guard retention.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's like one thing Lucas talks about in his instructional is having that in place, that keymaster position allows you to play on either hip. Like you get to decide whether you want to play on your right hip or your left hip. Whereas playing something like reverse De La Hiva or false reap or anything like this, you're kind of pitting yourself to one hip. And not that it's wrong, it's just like if it goes wrong, it can go very wrong. Whereas if something goes wrong from keymaster, you can always switch hips and go back to De La Hiva or like whatever. So it's like making sure you're safe before you attack is, something that I think these guys do very well. They just limit the downside before they start to attack, which can be perceived as like, boring in a sense where if you like don't get to a very secure position, you're never really like attacking. So you're not taking much risk. But at the end of the day, like it's a very viable strategy and probably like a very reliable one. I mean, you're dealing with people who are very good defensively and offensively. So yeah, I think like I said, I think we're going to see more of it moving forward in Nogi.
And one of the positions that you mentioned to me was having that keymaster, like let's say it's your right leg on that far hip, and then on with your left leg having that lasso, and then
Mm,
you kind of grabbing their tricep as like a pretty. I don't remember what you mentioned about that position exactly, but I think you said it's like a pretty stable or like decent guard retention position.
mhm,
So I remember trying to just continually spam getting into that position. And I don't play that very much, but it did feel very, like, chill. Like, I didn't feel under too much attack, I guess,
right.
or risk of being passed too much, I
Mm.
guess, from that position. But any other thoughts on that position, that lasso, keymaster, I don't know what to call it, kinda guard?
Yeah, I mean, like kind of like you said, I think it's just a very defensively sound position. Um, and then Lucas talks about how like from there, that's kind of like his home base. Like if he can get there, it's like he feels very secure, and then he can start to set up his attacks from there. Um, and his kind of like go-to attacks seem to be like scooping the near leg. So like if you could scoop the far leg, you would go K guard or whatever. But if you could scoop the near leg and you invert with that like kiss of the dragon type inversion, you get to that like body X. Or if you spin your head all the way through, you end up in K guard on the near leg instead of the far leg. Um, so this is what I was trying to get. Like this is what I was trying to work on. Like it's probably not the best idea to watch an instructional and try and do it on the best people in the world when you train with them. So I didn't have much success with it. But I'm excited to dive deeper into it now that I'm, back home and things like this. So, yeah, I think kind of like what you experienced with like maybe you can't get your attacks going from there yet, but you could feel like it's a very defensively sound position, and one where it like will require the top player to break through a few layers before they can get some offense going.
Yeah, it almost felt like a closed guard without closing the guard. Like it
Right.
was just both on the outside, and they're in front of you, and they're not
Right.
flanking so much.
And you
It
have
was
some
cool.
type of like pulling grip on them, so it's kind of hard for them to disengage. Yeah, I think this is a very good position to get to.
Yeah, it was super fun to play that. Then right after the private session, or actually, yeah, any other thoughts on the private session before we jump to our next class?
Mm, the other like very cool thing that Andy mentioned, well, one was like the inside ashi on your outside hip is like just checkmate. It's like very hard to defend when someone gets there, which is similar to what Lucas talks about in his instructional too. So it's cool to see these ideas like popping up over and over again. It's definitely very validating. Um, so yeah, just trying to get to inside ashi on your outside hip is a very good like North Star, I think, to get to. And then the other thing I thought was very interesting was I asked about turtle, and he was talking about how like when you have one hook in place, um, generally they're going to try and roll over their far shoulder. But if you can get their head to turn towards their far shoulder with like a crossface type thing, um, it becomes basically impossible for them to roll over their far shoulder and they have to roll over their near shoulder, which basically gives you the back take. So just the idea of manipulating their head position to make it hard for them to turn the way they want to turn, like limiting rotation by directing their head a certain way. I think is a very cool idea that um, we can start to explore from different positions.
Yeah, that crossface looked pretty brutal.
Yeah, but he was too funny. He was like, you don't have to be mean with it. Like you could tell he's just a nice person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does look pretty nasty.
Yeah, it's almost like you're attacking turtle and then you like cross face them with your hand. It's almost like going for a rear naked choke, but like across the face, but you direct their chin across to their side and then you grab that shoulder to like
Anchor it.
anchor it. Yeah.
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 Yeah, this was a cool idea. He said Felipe Pena showed it to him. So
Very nice.
maybe watch some Felipe matches to get some footage on it. But yeah, I thought this was a cool idea.
Yeah, super cool. And then we rushed on over back to South Bay for a class with Dima.
We spent a lot of time at South Bay. Yes. Yeah, this class I thought it was very cool because what I'm working on with my students right now is like the outside passing type of stuff, and this is basically what we did in this class was basically transitioning from a hip and knee post to like those north south passing grips where like if you're passing to the left for a hip and knee post, your right hand would be posted on the hip, your left hand would be posted on their near knee. But then when you go to north south, you switch. So now your left hand is anchoring to some part of their, like the far side of their body, and your right hand drops to the near side. And just kind of experimenting with different grips to make this transition and different ways of like anchoring yourself when you are outside camping. And then he emphasized head position in this as a pretty important factor when you're making the grip switch, which yeah, like when the head position is good, it's very hard to stop the top player from passing. So yeah, I enjoyed this class as well very much. And one
Yeah.
thing, sorry, go.
No, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really like when in Dima's classes how he would have you do the game once at the beginning as kind of like a warm up, and he would have you do it in low heart rate. And then he would have you do the same game at the end of class after you explored all the ideas. And then he would ask you if you felt like you improved. And I think this is a very good way to get students to just like take a step back and realize that they are like gaining skill by coming to class.
Mhm.
I thought it was a very good way of making that obvious to people who are participating in a class that you got better by showing up today.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a mix of some constraint-led games or whatever, and then some drilling a little bit, and but I do like in the drilling and the technique, quote, unquote, "portion," where he said the effect that you wanna have is to make the bottom player concave, and you can do it with this grip or this grip or this grip. Like, I don't really care, these are just some ideas, like, you guys go explore and mess with the creating that effect. And it reminds me of like that whole like tinkering thing that Joseph talks about. It was like exploring a position. Oh yeah, and Dima told us to like ask for different reactions. Like, oh, can you try to get your lasso in here? How about here? How about here? Can you
Or
turn up the
frame
resistance?
here, frame there, yeah.
Yeah, and you're just playing in this live, semi-live, whatever you want to do type of exploratory time before then applying it again in the live environment. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I really liked I don't know how this would work with, like, beginner people because, like, the people who I partnered with were very good, and I felt like the discussions were very helpful. But if you have, like, 2 beginner people, like, I don't know how productive that discussion would be, but I really like this, like, tinkering aspect of, like, the technique portion of class, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Bash who partnered
Yeah,
with Jake.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, any ideas from working with him that came out during that exploratory time?
No, I felt like he was a great partner for it because he was very flexible and kind of the goal of the class was to deal with the high leg and concave them to make it hard for them to high leg. And like if it worked on him, I'm pretty confident it would work on a lot of people, you know? So yeah, one, he was like super good at jujitsu. So like it was very nice to be able to discuss things with him. And then two, I feel like his body type was perfect for what we were working on. So um yeah, I really enjoyed that class.
Yeah, shout out to Bash. He's awesome. Super nice guy, very like humble and like curious about a lot of things. I got to partner with him and Mike at the Joseph Chen seminar, and he's just so unassuming. Like I asked him later how many matches he's had in competitions. He's had like 200 matches by now, and he's just so unassuming. Just one of those like really really um, good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I had to head out from there, but how was the rest of your trip in San Diego
Yeah, so we went to the pro session again, at 11 and,
on Friday?
yeah, on Friday. And this was more like our class. It wasn't like open sparring. It was more like our class, the night before that we did with that I did with Bash. But, this time my partner was actually Keith Krikorian, which
Oh,
was
sick.
pretty cool. Yeah. Um, and this time Dima emphasized like, putting weight through your grips and not, like, taking tight grips on the legs, like, when you're passing supine guard, but the theme was have, like, loose grips, but put weight through them, and then you use that to create an initial angle, and once you get, like, create that angle, now if you keep weight through your hands, you're gonna, like, basically kind of fall over because you kind of are too far past. So, basically, the theme was weight through the hands or weight yeah, weight through the grips with your hands, and once you create the angle, then the weight goes through your head. Um, and again, emphasizing the head position when passing, supine open guard, and then you work into the hip and knee posts and to those, like, north-south grips. So it kind of just, like, built on the class before, with more of an emphasis on, like, the initiation phase and, getting to a hip and knee post or the north-south passing grips. Um, but yeah, again, I really liked this class, and I thought Keith was obviously, like, a really knowledgeable and good partner to have. So, yeah, I feel pretty lucky that I got to work with these 2 people, during these classes.
Dang, super cool. How'd Keith feel?
He was, very, very good. Um, yeah, and you could tell he wasn't like going hard or anything. He kept apologizing to me because he kept beating me, and I'm like, dude, you don't have to apologize to me because you're beating me. Um, so yeah, tell he's super nice. Uh, but yeah, like I got to ask him questions after as well, more about like making connection from supine guard, but yeah, you could tell his grips are just very sticky, and he again does a very good job of like getting that low leg into place and then attacking K guards or inverting to that body X type position. And again, I think we're going to see more and more of this type of game. But yeah, it was again, it was kind of cool to see like the same ideas being repeated by multiple high level people because you can start to see kind of where the trend is going as far as like um, staying safe before initiating your attacks.
Mhm. Did you guys get to get tacos El Gordo after? Dima was like, tacos El Gordo, like every day he wanted tacos.
They went to a Brazilian steakhouse
Oh, nice.
after.
Okay.
Yeah, I think PJ wanted some meat.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I had to be in Spring Valley um, at like 3 in class. Like by the time everyone showers and stuff, it's like an hour goes by. So
Yeah.
we left at like 1:30. I had to be back in Spring Valley by 3, and it was like it would have been too tight for Mike and I to go um, with them. So yeah, Mike just dropped me off at my family's place and went and had dinner with my aunt that night, which was, fun. Checking the family box because I haven't seen them in a while. So, yeah, it wasn't all jujitsu; it was some family time as well. But yeah, it was fun. Uh,
And then the next day was the big seminar.
it was, yeah. Initially, I thought Dima was going to teach like the morning session, and then Owen was going to teach the evening, and then they were going to do the same thing the next day. And my flight was Sunday. Um, because my wife had to be back to work on Monday. So we're flying out Sunday, and I thought I was just going to get like 2 hours of Dima and then 2 hours of Owen. But the way they ended up doing it was Dima just taught his whole thing on Saturday, and then Owen's going to teach his whole thing on Sunday. So I didn't get any teaching from Owen Jones, but yeah, it was very insightful. The Dima seminar was, and Owen would walk around and answer questions and when people would ask Dima questions, Dima would answer, and Owen would give his perspective as well. So, um, yeah, it was very cool. It was mostly from outside Ashi, and kind of the main theme was you have upper body breaking mechanics and you have lower body breaking mechanics. So the first 2 hours was mostly on like those mechanics of upper body and lower body. And then the second 2-hour session was like kind of troubleshooting that. And a lot of the troubleshooting basically came down to putting weight on their hip to make it hard for them to do a lot of the resistance. And then when they do try and clear your feet off their hip, or they try and rotate, or they try and, build height, having ways to redirect their force. So if they're trying to stand up, instead of just like back heeling and forcing like being heavy on their hip in like a vertical manner, you can try and rotate belly down. So now, even though they build up to a knee, now you're going belly down. Now they have to rotate through, and now they're back on their hip. So a lot of this type of thing. And then, like if they are peeling feet off your hip, you can use your feet, like you put your foot in their armpit or whatever to like make them unstable, like kick them back a little bit. And now their arms extended, their grip is weaker, and now you can like pummel your foot back and get it back to their hip and get weight back on their hip. And the whole time you're breaking their leg. So, yeah, it's my ankles were pretty sore after this day. It was 4 hours of straight ankle lock finishing mechanics. So, uh, yeah, I was feeling it for sure. But very insightful. And we trained last night, and I was working on this, and I finished maybe like 3 or 4 straight ankles last night. So felt pretty good about implementing the ideas right away. And I'm sure it'll get better as I do it more.
Nice. Yeah, I really like those that advice because I suck at keeping people on their hips from leg entanglements. And so remembering that you don't have to like fight directly against what they're doing. You can use what they're doing to rotate more. Man, I barely rotate or turn belly down. That could be a good lesson from even kind of tying it back to the first day with PJ of like initiating the role.
Exactly.
Yeah, so super interesting stuff to think about. Um, any other moments from the seminar? It's been a while since you've been to a seminar, right?
Yeah, it's been a very long time, actually. I think honestly, the last one I went to was that Craig Jones seminar.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was probably 6 years ago, 7
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, pre-COVID. So, yeah, it's been a while. But it was fun. I'm glad the timing worked out where they were all there, and then afterwards, obviously, just kinda, like, hung out and chatted with all of them. So, um, again, it's cool, like, just being in the space, I like to hear how people are thinking about like monetizing their stuff. So I got to talk with Owen about that. I got to talk with Dima about that. Um, got to meet Marlon from Atos, who finished I think third or fourth at trials. So he's definitely someone I'm going to be following moving forward. Super nice guy as well. So yeah, I think it was really good to show face and meet a lot of these high level athletes. So yeah, I'm very happy. I need to do more of these types of trips.
Yeah. Yeah. When's next time going back to San Diego? Or do you think
I
there's another destination you'd go to next?
don't know. San Diego is pretty hard to beat. But there's nothing like on the books yet. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But San Diego would be a good return destination for sure.
Would be sick. Yeah, you got your Uber driver here, you got your cold
Yeah,
plunge, you got your sauna. Yeah, what
exactly.
else do you need?
Exactly. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for chauffeuring me around. It was a lot of driving, because 10th Man at South Bay is not the closest gym to you. So,
All
um,
good.
yeah, it was a lot of driving.
No, no, it was super fun. It was an honor to get to sneak into those sessions and get to do the podcast with PJ and Dima and just make connections. And yeah, just to get to be in a room like that where yeah, it's not every day you get to be the dumbest person in the room, you know? And it's like a very uncomfortable feeling for sure, but it's like a also like just a very, very like lucky like place to be for me, you know, just because I drove you around. So
For me too. I think, yeah, I think people give me way more credit than I deserve, and then people like Keith just keep apologizing. And it's like, dude, I know I'm not good. It's okay for you to be me.
it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an epic week. It was super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. Did you have any other takeaways before we sign off? Well, one, we got to reach out to Andre still.
Yeah.
And then two, we have the podcast with Dima and Joseph, or Dima and PJ next week.
Yeah, what a great episode that was. Too bad it was cut a little bit short, but I think there was a lot of valuable stuff in there and people will like it. So yeah, we'll publish that next week. And then yeah, I think it'd be fun to maybe deep dive into some of these positions or themes in the next coming episodes, like our standard episodes where I pop quiz you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll have some better answers now that I've stolen some information from people who are a lot smarter than me. So,
Do you think you'll be exploring these things, continuing to like work on ankle locks and like work on other stuff that we were outside passing and whatnot in the coming weeks?
yeah, definitely. Especially the outside passing stuff, because this is something I have a student competing, and I thought this was going to be a major part of the strategy. And Dima teaching it gave me some pretty good details, I think, to enhance it and some validation in the sense of like, yeah, this is a good strategy that works against the best people in the world. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, last question. I know everybody was asking, when's the CJI video coming out?
I'm still working on it. I haven't even started it, if I'm being honest. But yeah, when I got back, there was obviously a lot of like content to enter with the Euro trials happening, and then like Flow Grappling posted like Declan Moody videos, like I fixed my game from Declan, and like I still didn't even finish entering the PGF stuff. So like, yeah, there's a lot of content to enter, and obviously there's a lot of videos to make. So yeah, it's probably going to be the actually I don't know because I already finished making the one about what I think is going to be our strategy going into my students competition. So I finished that video, and then I'll probably start working on the CJI one next. But I don't know which order they're going to come out in, but yeah, I should probably get going on that one.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome, Jake. Yeah. Thank you. And I'll catch you next week.
All right. Later, Josh.